We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. And you've just crossed over into the Trend Zone. Dave here with Casey. We are the football dudes. Are you ready, brother?
Here we go.
All right. Next stop, the Trend Zone. Monday, September 2nd, Labor Day. And we're coming at you from Los Angeles, California. It is a beautiful 74 degrees here in Santa Monica on the west side.
91 in the valley, Dave. Thanks for rubbing it in.
Brutal.
I have to jump in the pool.
In today's episode, we'll talk about a couple of changes to the 2024 NFL season, a little fantasy draft recap action, our Survivor League, and of course, all the awesome games coming up in week one of the NFL. But before we get to all that, Casey, do you have a tasty nug for the people?
I do, Dave, but it's more of just like a nug of gratitude. We made it through the season. We're back. Today is Sunday. In a couple short days, we're going to have NFL football. Are you kidding me? And then the very next day, more NFL football. We take a little break for some college football. And then you know what we have? More NFL football.
Oh,
2 days
yeah.
worth. You got that right, my friend. Oh, yeah. All 10. Come on.
Totally stoked, brah.
Completely stoked, baby.
Completely. All right, folks. Trend Zone. Show you're listening to now. Available for subscription on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast. Casey, we'll get things started with today's top trending stories. The NFL has amended the kickoff rule. What do you got?
Yeah, I think so far so good. They've eliminated that huge collision that's going to extend players' lives, and they're changing the type of personnel you need on the kick return. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think we've seen how deep this thing is going to go, and it obviously produced a lot more returns. I just hope that teams don't start just kicking it into the end zone and letting teams come out to the 30 rather than risk the big return, because it is such an exciting play. We need it in the NFL, but I think this goes a long way towards helping make that happen.
Yeah, last year kickoffs were at a brutal low of 22%. The preseason kickoffs at one point were up to 78%. So we were seeing a lot more kickoffs. I do believe many of the kickoff teams or coaches, whatever, were holding back on what they were going to do. So we're really going to see what happens in week one and probably have a lot more information on how the rule change is taking effect by the end of week one, after we've seen it actually take place rather than the preseason version.
Yeah, NFL usually gets this stuff right, whatever they do,
Yeah.
So this is on brand.
There's no talk of making any kind of tweaks to it, but you never know. We could see something, but I imagine it's going to work out, and it'll be fun to see how it does. All right, Casey, another rule that they made has to do with the challenge system. They've tweaked it a bit.
Yeah, it used to be you had to get both your challenges right to get a third one. Now, if you get one of those two right, you get that third. So this is definitely a step in the right direction. We've seen games where teams have had to burn them in the first quarter, and you're like, the ref screwed this call up, but do I need to challenge it because we're so early in the game and then I'll be out?
Right.
Well, now you get that extra one, so that's going to, give you a little more juice there. But we have the technology. If we can get the call right, get the call right. It shouldn't come down to if you have timeouts or a challenge left. At least this is progress, but I need more.
Yeah, and I do want to see the refs actually take control of the game quickly and just do their own reviews, when they can facilitate it there within the refs efficiently and quickly and not put it on the coaches. Then those coaches can keep those challenges in their pockets.
Yeah, I'm into it.
All right, Casey, quick for the people. We're going to do a quick fantasy draft recap of our teams just to let people know where we're coming from. 12-team league, no PPR.
Yeah,
3 wide
baby.
receivers.
That's right. No flex. We're not flexible. Yeah, I had the 8th pick in this draft. I went ahead and got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Followed that up with Ken Walker. And then Dave, Kelsey, and Mahomes were sitting there in the 3rd and 4th rounds. I just had to snag them. They got me to a title last year. I'm hoping to capture some more of that Chiefs magic. Kamara's my other back. And then I got Christian Kirk and Christian Watson as my other receivers. So, I'm pretty excited about this. I'm stashing Chubb if all goes well. Hopefully,
you burned me on that, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was right. I had him queued up.
I didn't know. I was like, I got to get this cat sooner than later because someone's going to do it. So
Yeah, I've heard it's going to take him a little longer than expected, but yeah, he was going real late, so that was a great value for you there. All right, I picked number one, so I did the obvious and picked
A
Christian McCaffrey
punter.
there, number
Oh,
one. Christian McCaffrey, and of course came back around, grabbed Devon A-Chain and Cooper Kupp with my next couple of picks. I got Ayuk and Neighbors after that, and then I grabbed Herbert as well as my quarterback and my homer move there. So pretty excited about that. Also, I think I got some good value on Andrews, the tight end from Baltimore. As long as he's good to go and healthy, I'm pretty excited about that. Steelers defense, we'll see how that works out for me. But all in all, pretty solid fantasy football team, I think, for me.
but now with you having the first pick, you're not going to get to sit on top of that waiver wire all season and not burn it, baby.
I'm
You're at
going to
the
claw
bottom.
my way up. How soon will it take me to get to number one where I can sit back and relish?
Oh, it's going to be sweet, baby.
It is. All right. So moving along, we are talking fantasy and we're talking now Survivor, Casey. Get things going with this week's Survivor action.
Yeah, Dave, I hate to run with the pack when the numbers are so huge. It's usually devastation, but
Yeah.
this looks like the best game of the week. It's the Pats at the Bengals. Over 45% of the country like those Bengals in that one. And your second highest pick team is the Bills to beat the Cardinals. Bills at home, 13% there. And if you're feeling really saucy, the Panthers are going to the Saints. And just under 10% of America likes the Saints.
Woo, I'll tell you, sometimes it's best not to overthink this. I get the Bengals taking care of business at home against that woeful Pats team from last year. We'll see if they freak us out. If all three of these teams were to take a dump, Casey, just about 2 out of 3 people in America would be eliminated from their single elimination league. So let's hope that these picks are good for the first week at least.
There you go.
Of course, we have the 3 strikes, so we have a little bit of
little safety net. You're not just on that high wire. Whoa!
Oh man, it's too fast if you lose in 1 week, folks. I'm sorry.
Sure.
All right, let's move this thing over to the NFL, Casey. This is what the people really want. It is the NFL Week 1 NFL games, man.
What did you say?
Week 1 NFL action.
It's slipping away.
That's right. The off season has slipped away. The preseason has slipped away. And now we're slipping right into a comfortable week 1. And it is going to be an awesome start to this particular NFL season. As usual, Case, the NFL champions are going to be hosting to start things off.
That's right. It's an AFC Championship rematch. It's the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs are 3-point favorites at home. Chiefs lost this game to the Lions last year.
Mm-hmm.
See what they got against these Ravens. Talk about Baltimore.
All right, will do. Obviously Lamar is a 2-time MVP, but his success in the playoffs hasn't really matched up to that kind of regular season success. He's been obviously the best dual threat quarterback in the league for a long time now. And now you add Derrick Henry to what was one of, if not the best running attacks in the NFL. So it's going to be pretty exciting to see how this offense can crank down the field against those Chiefs. We shall see. Interestingly, on the other side of the ball, their defense was one of the better defenses in the NFL last year. That led to their coach, Mike McDonald, their defensive coordinator, becoming a head coach. Now they have Zachary Orr at the helm there. We'll see how he is able to continue to make that defense so dangerous for opposing offenses.
Yeah, and the Chiefs should be fully motivated for this game because the hype around it, but how motivated can this Chiefs team stay during the season? We saw that malaise last year, and then they kind of turned it on at the end of the season. They went out and tried to get some speed for Mahomes in the passing game. He got hurt in the first one, Marquise Brown. We're not sure. He's at least going to miss week 1. So hopefully he can get back sooner than later because the early returns were pretty good on that combo. They also went and got the speed in Xavier Worthy, man, the speedster out of Texas. So that's pretty exciting, kind of stretch the field and let Kelsey work underneath there. And, dude, sneaky little pickup here. Samaje Perine was on the outs in Denver. They bring him in to complement Pacheco in this running game. I think that's a really nice addition to it. So, Chiefs all about staying healthy, doing enough in the regular season, and be primed right there for the post and try to win that unprecedented 3rd straight Super Bowl.
Okay, moving on to Friday night football. This one's in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Casey, where we have NFL Friday night football. It is going to be the Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles hosting this one in Brazil with a 2.5 point favorites for the Eagles. Casey, go ahead and talk about those pack.
Yeah, Jordan Love, everybody's dark horse darling to be league MVP for this season. If what he did to my Cowboys in the playoff is any
Oof.
indication of what's to come this year, then maybe all that preseason hype is warranted. But now there's a lot of expectation on Love and this pack team. Love the receivers there with Watson, Dobbs, Reed, and Dontavion Wicks, Cause's favorite player there. Couple great tight ends with Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, dude. But they bring over Josh Jacobs, man. This guy
Wow.
runs like a frozen tundra Green Bay Packer. You're replacing the much beloved Aaron Jones. So we'll see if Jacobs has any more in the tank there. Unfortunately, A.J. Dillon hitting the IR. He's going to be done. But Green Bay also drafted Marshawn Lloyd out of SC. This guy is a beast, man. So all the
Dynamic.
pieces in place for this Packers team. I just hit the offense here, but overall, this is a team that's expected to contend for a Super Bowl. Can they beat these Eagles?
Yeah, and this Eagles team was off to a great start last year at a 10-1 start. They dropped 6 of the last 7, including that devastating loss to the Buccaneers in the playoffs there to end their season most disappointingly indeed. There's a little bit of discord between the coach and the quarterback Jalen Hurts, but they bring in Kellen Moore to be the coordinator there. So we'll see if that new offense that they install there gives them a spark offensively. Also, speaking of a spark offensively, you've got Saquon Barkley joining them from division rivals, the Giants, and he's going to be behind the best offensive line he's ever run behind. So look for him to have an awesome season as long as he can stay healthy. The receiving group with Brown and Devontae Smith also gets an addition in Jahan Dotson coming over again from a division rival. So it'll be interesting to see again. That's a dynamic group along with Dallas Goddard there to throw the ball to. So it's going to be interesting to see if this Eagles team can rebound to the team that seemed so dominant for about a year and a half there and then fizzled out towards the end of last year.
Yeah, they got to replace the best center in the NFL and Jason Kelsey. So
The
easier
best.
said than done. We'll see how that happens on Friday night.
All right, moving on to Sunday morning's action. The early action on Sunday starts us off with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons at home are favored by 3 in this one.
Yeah, it's so weird to say, but Russell Wilson, the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, man,
Wow.
it's
Wow.
crazy. Pittsburgh got economical on 2 quarterbacks in the offseason, got Russ on the sweetheart deal because Denver's paying him all that money, and then was able to go out there and get Justin Fields. So both of these guys playing for their NFL futures. Obviously, Fields is much younger, but this, I don't know how many chances you get to start. So we'll at least see some packages with Fields. It's Russ's job to lose right now. But what the Steelers want to do is run the damn football there, get back to it. They've really invested a lot of draft picks in the offensive line, run the ball, play defense. That's the formula for Steelers football. I bet we see a heavy dose of Najee on Sunday down there. Tell me about these Dirty Birds, Dave.
Yeah, the Falcons, I believe, went 7-10, 3 straight seasons, leading to a change in the coaching. They bring in Raheem Morris, who a lot of people are really high on as an ascending coach in this league. Not only that, they reinvent the quarterback room, signing Kirk Cousins to an extraordinarily lucrative guaranteed money deal, and then drafting with the 8th overall pick Michael Penix. So a very interesting decision there, doubling down at the quarterback position. We know they have some talent there for sure on the offensive side. Bijan Robinson, very exciting, and Drake London and Kyle Pitts. So there's some weapons to work with there. We'll see how everything can come together. Zach Robinson, the OC, is going to be the one kind of putting these pieces in play. But there's a lot of excitement around this team. They think that they've brought on some dudes also via free agency recently that show that they think they're a team that's going to be not only contending for the division title, but further into the playoffs.
Yeah, I want to see what happens with Cousins and Pitts. Finally, have a quarterback. Pitts has not lived up to that expectation coming out. we'll see if it was his fault or the previous regimes. All right, Dave, up next, we have the Arizona Cardinals at the Buffalo Bills. I would be 6-point favorites if I was at home.
Okay. Arizona Cardinals are on the road in this one. And Kyler Murray coming into this season, nice, healthy offseason, feeling good. Everybody's excited about his dedication to football and all this stuff, his focus on football. He's, of course, joined by the new wide receiver from the draft, the very high draft pick, fourth pick, I believe it was, Casey, Marvin Harrison Jr., who's basically as polished as you can come out of the draft here and into the NFL as a wide receiver. They are going to be exciting. I think that Jonathan Gannon had this team playing above their talent level last year. They add some good pieces. Obviously, it's going to be fun to see what Marvin Harrison can do as a rookie. It looks like he's going to be a plug-and-play superstar.
Yeah, for these Bills, dude, how long is this window going to stay open? They've been taking steps, but they haven't quite gotten over the hill. They ran Stephon Diggs right out of town, so it's kind of a reclamation project for most of the receivers there with Matt Collins, Curtis Samuel, MVS, but they did go out and get the stud Keon Coleman from Florida State. Dude, I love this guy for
Very
the
high
Seminoles.
in second round, yeah.
Big body, huge receiving radius, so we'll be able to see if they can get that instant synergy going there. Obviously, Dawson Knox, but Dalton Kincaid, drafted out of Utah, had a phenomenal rookie season. We'll see if he can build on that. So the Bills have to get better, have to make that AFC championship, possibly a Super Bowl. I don't know if McDermott's job is on the line. It's too early to start putting coaches on the hot seat, but they're getting restless there in the Bills Mafia for certain.
They sure are. All right, up next, it is the Tennessee Titans at the Chicago Bears. Bears at home, favored by 4 in this one.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what I expect out of these Titans, man. They're going to be a lot different looking. Obviously, they shipped off Malik Willis to the Packers, so it's all about Will Levis now, and he showed flashes last year. They kept DeAndre Hopkins, who we thought might take off to get some draft picks, but they went ahead and kept him there. They went and spent a huge money on Calvin Ridley, who at times looked amazing last year too. We'll see if he can be more consistent. Obviously, no Derrick Henry there, but they really love Tajay Spears, and they went out and got my Tony Pollard. So it will be about how Will Levis plays. Can he take the next step? These Titans, I think, are a ways away from competing seriously. Brian Callahan's taking over for Vrabel. So it's a team in transition, but you know what? In the NFL, you don't get the luxury of having time to build. You're expected to win sooner than later. And they should be able to go into Chicago and get a win. These teams aren't too different, but hype for these Bears right now. They're out of hibernation, and they are having a party, eating all the picnic baskets, doing it all, Dave.
Yeah, they sure are, dude. And obviously, a lot of that excitement is, of course, generated by Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick. He was the number 1 pick projected for two straight years. You know, they saw him coming, and the Bears, unbelievably, were in position to get him. They stack him with great personnel around him at the receiver position. DJ Moore. They draft Rome Odunze with the 9th overall pick there, and then bring in Keenan Allen with a 4th round trade with the Chargers. That is a nice 3-pack of wide receivers right there. Then think about Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett at tight end, and not only that, Mercedes Lewis, 40 years old, blocking tight end for them. This team is going to be able to put together some excitement. If nothing else, they're going to be a team that's fun to watch because Caleb Williams can generate magic with his feet, run around. We'll see if he is, in fact, the second coming of Patrick Mahomes, like some people think he can be with his off-platform throws, et cetera, et cetera. But any way you slice it, there's more excitement around this team and around the quarterback position for the Bears than there's been in a long time.
Yeah, dude. I mean, for 20 or 30 years, man. So it's going to be a fun team to watch. All right, Dave, a team that might not be as fun to watch. The New England Patriots, they're going on the road to play the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals, I think this is the biggest point spread of the weekend, 9 points. talk about these Pats.
Oof, yeah. Okay, well, the Patriots are in transition, obviously, away from Bill Belichick and on to Gerard Mayo, the anointed one at head coach there, um, handpicked by the regime there. And you know what? They draft a quarterback that is their future in Jake May. He's got all the physical sort of like makeup of what you would think of as a great NFL quarterback, and they've got him in bubble wrap to start the season. Speculatively, here it's going to be certainly initially Jacoby Brissett. So they've got a solid veteran who can, kind of run the show there and let them bring Drake May in when the time is right. But it doesn't seem like they have a crap load of really explosive talent around them. They've been struggling at the receiver position for a while now. This was one of the better defenses in the league last year, though, which makes for some, low scoring affairs. And I wouldn't be surprised if they can kind of, keep this game close and see maybe they can sneak it out at the end.
Yeah, and Cincinnati's main problem, can they get the receiver gruntled there? Jamar Chase, there's been some talks last couple of days. Maybe they're getting closer to something.
Right.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. T. Higgins, he might not be there next year too. So we know that Chase will be there, but they got to sort that out. No, who else has gone? Joe Mixon. It's up on Zach Moss, who some people really like fantasy-wise. So Joe Burrow has to stay healthy. I think he's only played in 2 seasons of the 5. If they can keep this guy upright, one of the best young quarterbacks in the league, but that's been a problem. They're trying to rebuild this offensive line too. So that's going to be a brutal freaking division in the AFC North.
Yeah.
But the Bengals, like I said, if Burrow stays healthy, they can compete with anybody. So
yeah, they certainly can. That is a fun team to watch. Okay, moving along. It is the Houston Texans on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. The Texans, though, road favorites in this one by 2.5.
Yeah, and this looks to be an awesome quarterback matchup for a long time. I know you'll talk about Richardson there, but C.J. Stroud, dude, this guy's been anointed the next big thing in the NFL. I need to see year 2. Passed every test last year, but we've seen quarterbacks have success
Sophomore
one
slump.
year.
Right.
Yeah, but you want to talk about weapons. This guy, they go out and they bring in Stephon Diggs, who was disgruntled and Buffalo. They add him to Tank Dell and Nico Collins and even Bobby Trees over from the Rams. They went out and brought Joe Mixon in for this run game, put him right ahead of Dameon Pierce. So I love what DeMeco Ryans is doing. First year last year, got this team to the playoffs. We got to start building on that. But with these young teams, Dave, we see it when expectation starts becoming the thing. Can they match it when they just come out of nowhere? It's a very talented team, ton of picks on defense as well. So this is one of the few divisional matchups we have in week 1. So nothing better than to go beat a divisional foe on the road. Easier said than done now.
Well, and it wasn't until the very, very end of the season that Houston actually locked up that division. And the Colts were in it right until the very, very end, too, with Minshew running the show. Obviously, Richardson, the star in the making here, only made it through 4 games before getting banged up. He's got to find a way, because he's going to be a running quarterback. He's got to find a way to use his legs, but then avoid those big hits. We can't Cam Newton this guy into oblivion, right? This is an exciting team. Shane Steichen was a Chargers quarterback for Herbert's rookie year. He has ascended through the Eagles organization, and now this is their second season there. He's a brilliant, offensive mind. I'm very excited about what this team could be, but the quarterback has got to stay upright. They got to be able to use his talent with his legs, but also he's got to be able to stay in the pocket. Jonathan Taylor there, if he can stay healthy, they're going to have a strong running game. Pittman and Downs at receiver, and Adonai Mitchell. So there's some weapons there, and there's reason for excitement for this Indianapolis Colts team at home. If they could get this it'll be an upset, and if they can get this, it'll be a huge win.
All right. We got a battle for Florida here, Dave. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Miami Dolphins, and the Fins are 3-point favorites at home.
Ooh, okay. How about these Jaguars? They had the the golden boy
Mhm.
in Trevor Lawrence, who was the guy that was anointed for years as going to be the number one once he was eligible. He has shown flashes, but not consistently been the guy there.
Mhm.
Um, let's see if this is the year where they put it together. Doug Peterson was a huge when they moved on from the college disaster head coach there and gave him an adult at head coach. It worked out well for Lawrence. They won that playoff game, but then last year it looked like they had a chance to be the number one seed about midway through the season, and it just tapered off. It just didn't pan out in the big picture. Travis Etienne has got to be a huge part of this offense, and you know. This team is going to be exciting, and I think they're going to be pretty feisty on both sides of football. The defense has got a pretty good front that can really get
Yeah.
after the quarterback.
They got to just start getting results. And it's kind of the same
Yeah,
thing for Miami. Tua gets paid in the offseason. Mike McDaniel gets paid in the offseason. Miami started strong last year, and then they just got beat up in the playoffs against the Chiefs. I mean, that's the story
yeah.
with all these AFC teams. You
And
can
they were
play
beat.
great
They're
during the
getting
year.
beat up towards the end of the
Yeah,
season there.
banged up quite a bit. So
Yeah,
you thought that they had enough running backs. Dave, you were wrong. They went ahead and drafted Jalen Wright, put him there with
I know.
HN and Raheem Mostert. So it's a nice backfield. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, Waddle, the offensive weapons are there. They got to be able to keep Tua upright and
Yeah.
keep him healthy. I'm not sure what the status of Jalen Phillips is. If he's back, it was brutal losing him last year. So hopefully he can get back in there.
Yeah.
Um, everybody's just chasing the Chiefs. I mean, when it comes down to it, you got to be able to beat those guys. So nothing's going to matter until we get up there. So
Yeah, I think the key obviously is their health. They really, really, really were banged up, and I had a couple of fantasy guys that just weren't playing at the end of last year. All right, Casey, moving along. It is the Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints. Saints at home favored by 4 in this one.
yeah, and the Panthers, it was struggle city for Bryce Young last year, man. But he was getting the crap kicked out of him. They couldn't block for him, and
Uh,
then as a rookie quarterback, it's hard enough. Then you're getting the crap kicked out of you, and then you start seeing ghosts, and then you start developing bad habits. Hopefully, Canales can get in there and shut that down. Him and Baker had a nice combo last year in Tampa. They bring him over to be the head coach here in Carolina. So can he get all that bad stuff, the bad habits that Bryce picked up last year? I think the dude needs to be bigger, man. He still looks like a high school kid out there. You know,
he
you saw
needs
him
to be
walking up to
bigger.
some of the, yeah, I don't know if they can beef him up or what they can do. Maybe even get him some platform cleats, but protecting him would help. We saw what he did in big games in college. So the skill
Yeah,
is there, but it's going to take a lot of work. Chuba and Miles Sanders are there. They spend the fourth round draft pick on Jonathan Brooks, the tailback
good.
out of Texas. So we know he's for sure going to miss the first 4 games. And
Right.
depending on how the season's going, how much activity they ramp him up, maybe Sanders or Chuba is a trade candidate come the trade deadline around week 8 or 9. I don't want to start throwing dirt on these guys already because the season hasn't started, but
Right.
I don't see a good path for them. This is a young team that's got to get better. They did bring over Deontay Johnson from the Steelers to kind of help their receiving core. Mingo, they did draft legit from South Carolina, who was pretty sexy in that Gamecocks offense pause. But overall, this is a team that's going to be a little while in the making before they get there and can actually compete. But
Yeah.
you know what? This is a divisional game on the road. Go to the Dome and win it.
Right, and this division is as wide open as the divisions are. For the last handful of years, it's been a wide open division. Can that owner stay out of it and not mess with the situation? I thought they fired Frank Reich way too soon
Mm-hmm.
last year. Man, that's stupid. Okay, moving on to these Saints, though. Um, this is another situation. Again, you've got Dennis Allen here. You've got Derek Carr here. Um, this is it's going to go one way or another,
Mm-hmm.
so they give, this is a year where again, we don't put coaches on the hot seat before the season starts, but yeah, they got to get production, or it's time to move to a different situation. Let's see. Derek Carr has consistently been a pretty good quarterback, top 10, top 12, something around there. And he's got some nice weapons. Kamara, if he can stay healthy, is obviously an excellent, runner and receiver out of the backfield. Olave and Rashid Shaheed, another dude that's been really productive early on here. But these guys have got to find a way to put together wins. Last year, I thought they had a real wide open opportunity to take control of that division and then, have a home playoff game. And they just let it squander away, I thought. So we'll see how they
Yeah.
can do this year.
Ooh, they dropped this one at home to the Panthers, Dave. I think that seat is hot, but let's see
Woo!
what
No, no
happens
question.
first.
They're only 4-point favorites. So Vegas knows something.
All right, Dave. Up next, we have the Minnesota Vikings at the New York Giants. And those Vikings, don't you know, are 1.5 favorites on the road.
Wow, fantastic. Very exciting. Obviously, Kevin O'Donnell and company here. I'm a big fan of the former Aztec quarterback, and I think he's a brilliant mind as an offensive coach. They've got great weapons in Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison at the receiving positions. They bring in Aaron Jones, as you mentioned previously, this has been a team that hasn't been able to run the ball worth a crap. So, is it the running back that they swapped out that's going to get it done? Can the line put together a better scheme to block, though? But the big picture here, Casey, and I'm kind of burying the lead, is that their superstar of the future, J.J. McCarthy, who they picked in the draft here and we're very, very excited about, is on IR. He is going to miss the year. It is Sam Darnold, and there has not been a better situation for Sam Darnold in his career. Last year, getting a chance to sort of just learn with a good what winning is about on a good football team, and now being here under the tutelage of Kevin O'Connell, I do not think there will be another opportunity like this for Sam Darnold. He has got to take advantage of this opportunity. This is his pivot to being an NFL quarterback, legit, or just being a sort of a dude that can hang on to a roster or be a competent veteran backup.
Yeah, everybody struggled on the Jets, so that's no shock. I would love to see Darnold live up to that hype. And
I would
hopefully TJ Hawkinson can get back sooner than later and healthy, because that guy was one of the most dynamic tight ends in the league. But, Dave, I'm going to find some stuff to talk about with these Giants, man. Kind of in the same boat, dude. Danny Dimebag, man. This guy's got to figure out how to stay healthy and be productive. The first year with Dayball, he did pretty good and limited those turnovers, and last year, not so much. So what do? They go ahead and get rid of Saquon Barkley, man. It was fascinating watching that stuff in the off-season Hard Knocks, when they're just like, do we invest $14 million in a running back keeping up there in age? And they thought they could, allocate those resources better. So they're going to have to live and die by that. Devin Singletary's the starter there. Eric Gray, the former Sooner, had some nice work in the preseason. See if he can continue that in the regular season. But what's got everybody stoked offensively is Malik Neighbors, dude. The footage coming out of training camp, this guy is completely electric. He's going to be one of the next studs in the NFL. Will Dimebag be the guy that he grows with? That's TBD. They thought they were going to have Darren Waller for a while, and the guy went ahead and had to retire early. So that's kind of a bummer, especially doing the trade with the Raiders. But this team is building on the defensive side of the ball. They got Thibodeau, the high draft pick from a couple of years ago. And who was the Dexter Lawrence? They went out and got, who did they get to come play for? Brian Burns. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So they're building that side of the ball. If they can keep games close, Danny doesn't turn over, maybe they can stay in it. But I feel like this Giants team is going to be a team in transition.
Okay. Well, let's see. Again, keeping the guy upright and healthy at quarterback is going to be key.
Dave, I feel bad, though. I'm burying all these teams. Season hasn't been started. And I'm
crushing people, Casey.
Yeah.
Brutal. All right. Moving along. The late slot on Sunday afternoon or evening. The Las Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are at home at SoFi Stadium. They're 3-point favorites at home.
Speaking of throwing dirt on teams, no, I'm not going to do that yet. I do love Gardner Minshew's moxie. He won the job over Aiden O'Connell. I didn't feel like there was that much separation, but Minshew just brings a little of that mustache
Mhm.
magic, a
Yeah,
little of that
there's
point
something there.
star stuff. So he's going to be the guy. We mentioned Josh Jacobs is now with the Packers. Zamir White will get the chance to be that number one running back for the Raiders. And when we've seen him get enough carries, he's looked pretty damn sweet. They have Devontae gruntled for right now. Jacoby Myers had a nice, quiet fantasy season and a reality season
Yeah,
last year too. But
quality player.
dude, Michael Mayers 2 years ago, and then Brock Bowers, maybe
Yeah,
the best 1-2 punch out of tight ends in the NFL. And I think that Bowers, if you didn't know who this guy was, you're gonna know who he is as this season goes along. So, and then on the defensive side of the ball, dude, Max Crosby, one of the best to do it. They went out and got Christian Wilkins from the Dolphins, spent a lot of
ooh,
money on him.
yeah.
So they're planning on playing some Raider ball behind Antonio Pierce. Can they get good enough play out of the quarterback position?
Yeah, all right. These Chargers, Casey, talk about a team that's done like a makeover in the offseason, starting with head coach Jim Harbaugh there at the helm, bringing in Greg Roman on the offensive side and Jesse Minter from Michigan, who was amazing with Michigan schematically, defensively, to revamp the Chargers. Last handful of years, can't run the ball, can't stop the run, can't play defense worth a crap. But they've got Justin Herbert at quarterback. So revamp the entire running back room as well. All of the guys that were there gone. Got rid of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Gerald Everett, the top three, speculatively receivers there. So it's a huge makeover. Running backs of Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, and Kamani Vidal, an exciting young rookie. We'll see what he can produce. But they went and got Lad McConkey, second round of the draft. Very exciting. Bringing Joe Alt in the first round to establish an offensive line. That's the key to this whole concept of this Chargers reinventing their running game and protecting Justin Herbert, who missed the last 4 games of the season last year, broke a finger on both hands throughout the course of the season. The offensive line hasn't been good enough, but they've invested a lot in it. We'll see if they can come together. Quentin Johnson was a disappointing first-round draft pick last year. He's had a great camp. They added him to Joshua Palmer, who's been there. This will be his 4th year, 3rd rounder out of Tennessee. So there's a lot of weapons there to work with. We'll just see. There's a ton of reclamation projects on both sides of football. If those projects turn out to be okay, then the Chargers are going to be able to put together a pretty good season. And if they don't turn out to be okay, then they're a team that is buying time until next year to put together more pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, and Harbaugh and Ortiz are gonna churn this roster and get their
Big
guys
time.
there. It's gonna be more than a 1-year process, but enough talent there to compete. Can they beat the Chiefs? That's what every team in the AFC and the NFL is asking. So we'll see.
Question unanswered.
All right, Dave, let's talk about one of your favorite teams that wears orange. We're talking the Denver Broncos. They're going to be at the Seattle Seahawks, and those Broncos are 6-point underdogs in front of the 12s.
Pretty cool. Obviously, the Broncos story here is this is Sean Payton remaking this team with a quarterback of his liking. Did not work out with Russell. Russ's cooking gave Sean Payton a stomach ache. So they bring in Bo Nix, who was the 6th quarterback taken in the draft, but he was only the 12th pick in the draft. And he was their guy. There's no question about it. Whether they're spinning it or not, they're thrilled with him. Bo Nix played more college football, I think, than almost any quarterback in NFL draft history, and he was the highest percentage passer in NCAA history. So they're getting a guy who's going to run the system that Sean Payton wants him to run. They've got some talent around him. Javonte Williams running the ball, and Cortland Sutton, Josh Reynolds, and Marvin Mims at the receiver end. They felt like they could move on from a couple of their dudes and kind of focus on these are the guys that they really trust and that they're moving forward with Bo Nix at the helm. This is Bo Nix's era. Let's see how it begins. On the road, this would be a huge win against the Seahawks defense under Mike McDonald, new head coach. You talk about them, though.
You don't know me, but I'm your new coach. You
Yeah.
mentioned Mike McDonald, man, one of the best defensive coordinators. He comes in, replaces a legend in Pete Carroll.
Hmm.
Shocker. We never thought we'd hear that. Pete Carroll's now teaching classes back at SC, but he laid the blueprint there for what they wanted to build. And that defense, they've added a lot of pieces to it, and it's got to continue to get better there. But up front, they went out and got Jonathan Hankins to match him with Leonard Williams and Jaron Reed. So they got the beef up front. And on the other side of the ball, dude, Gino, one of the comeback players of the year last year, really got revitalized his career so much that they got Russ out of there and they got rid of Drew Lock. They brought in Sam Howell, who
Hmm.
took a beating while he was in Washington. Maybe this guy can be a reclamation project there. Looked decent in the preseason. He can sit behind Gino, DK, Tyler Lockett, and Smith and Jigba. What a
Nice.
great trio there.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, great running backs. This team kind of worn
Awesome.
down late in the season, especially in the backfield. Keep all these guys healthy, and it's going to be a very physical style defense for these Seahawks there, and I'm excited about them. Woolen last year came out of nowhere, really got a lot of quality for the picks there. So building the defense, pretty good offense. Seattle's just a grimy team, so let's see what happens with those guys.
Yeah, midway through last season, they were sort of a dark horse, and then it kind of tapered off. But I think the bringing in Mike McDonald, I'm really excited to see what he's going to be able to do on that defensive side
Yep.
schematically. All right, moving it on to the Washington Commanders at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucks at home are favored by 3.
Yeah, dude. The only team maybe more stoked than the Bears are the Commandos. Went out and got Dan Quinn. He brought over a bunch of former Cowboys that he could afford to pay. But what they did is they got Jaden Daniels with that second overall pick in the draft. He might be the stud of this draft when
Yeah.
all is said and done in 5 to 10 years. What a dynamic, exciting player. Heisman Trophy winner, did all the good stuff at LSU. So he's going to be exciting to watch. You mentioned Brian Robinson. He's the lead back there. They went out and got your guy, Austin Eckler, who brings a completely different skill set than Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Is going to be a quarterback's best friend, especially in that, screen game and small stuff around the line of scrimmage. Receiver, they went ahead. You mentioned they shipped Dotson out to the Eagles there. Scary Terry McLaurin's there. Noah Brown they picked up. Diami Brown they liked a lot. And Luke McCaffrey, the wild card there, the little brother. We'll see if he can add anything to this Commanders mix here. But what they have is the future set in Jaden Daniels. Everything else, clearly a work in progress.
All right, how about these Buccaneers and Todd Bowles quietly won the division and won a playoff game last year. And Baker Mayfield reinvented, essentially, as you mentioned, by Canales last year. Moving on to Liam Cohen, offensive coordinator here this year. They've got Rachaad White, who's been an exciting addition in the backfield there at running the football. They bring in Bucky Irving also this year in the draft, who he's got some juice, that's for damn sure. So Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, a nice group of dudes there. There's some talent here, and this division, again, it's wide open, so anything goes. We'll see at home. It starts with this one. They're favored by 3. They need to take care of business at home and put themselves in direction of getting the wins that they're supposed to get. That way they're in position towards the end. This is the division, again, that's going to be neck and neck.
Dave, go ahead and introduce this next game so I can have a second to compose myself and get my thoughts together. I know it's going to be quick, but go ahead and do it for me there.
All right. Well, it is your Dallas Cowboys, Casey, at the Cleveland Browns, and I know you got plenty to say in this one. The Browns at home, favored by 2.5 against your boys. This is definitely going to be an interesting ball game.
Yeah, there was a couple big contracts that needed to be dealt with in the offseason. They got one of them done, talking about CeeDee Lamb, 4 years, $136 million extension there. We got him Gruntled. He's added some weight, some muscle. He's looking pretty good, stocked up a little more there. So CD, 135 grabs last year, 10 or so touchdowns. They're definitely going to need more of that. He missed all of training camp. So while he was gone, Brandon Cooks got to get a ton of work with Dak. He was looking great in the preseason. And Jalen Tolbert, the third-round draft pick from a couple of years ago, is really kind of growing into the position there. And Ryan Flournoy, out of South Carolina, this guy just kept making plays in the preseason, landed him a roster spot. We've had guys like this in the past, shined in preseason, got under the lights, didn't do as much. I'm hoping that's a little bit different here. But the Cowboys starting to rebuild that offensive line. Tyler Biotish, he left with Dan Quinn, went to Washington there, and they thought they were going to handle it in-house with Brock Hoffman, but Cooper Beebe played so well in preseason, it looks like he got a leg up on Hoffman to be the starting center. But Dave, at that the tackle position, left tackle, stalwart Tyron Smith for so long, went out and got my guy Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma, young, athletic, played well enough to win that starting job too. So lots of youth there, but that's getting this offensive line rebuilt. The running back room looking different but familiar. They brought back Zeke, but I think they really want Rico Dowdle to be the guy there. He's not been able to stay healthy. And if 5 years ago you told me this guy was on our team, I would say, oh, hell yeah, we're talking Dalvin Cook. He's going to start on the practice squad and see if he can ramp his way up. Defensively, so beat up at linebacker last year with Van Der Esch going down and losing Overshown. Overshown is back. He's looking great, but they went out and got Eric Kendricks to kind of be the leader for this Mike Zimmer defense. That's helping move Micah back to linebackers. So they're going to be thick there. It's same with these Cowboys. Dak's got to do it in the postseason. 12 wins in the regs is good, but it's got to result in some playoff success. Will this year be the year? Hopefully.
Well, and speaking of looking for results, Casey, on your investment, this Cleveland Browns squad that traded all of those draft picks and paid all of that guaranteed money, $230 million of it to Deshaun Watson, have not really gotten a return on their investment that they've been happy about. In fact, they've restructured his contract strangely. And so, I mean, his money is going to be against the cap enormous this year and the next couple of years that he's guaranteed a lot of that. I mean, basically guaranteed it all. So this team is banged up at running back. Jerome Ford is going to be the starter, it looks like, to start the season here. Chubb on PUP, Hines on the NFI list. Pierre Strong is questionable. Deonta Foreman is on the roster there. So I think so. Good news. They've got a great offensive line, one of the best in the NFL. So speculatively, you can just pop somebody back there and he'll get going. Deshaun Watson has struggled with injuries over the last couple of seasons. That has certainly limited his ability to sort of prosper, over the long haul. They've got Winston there and Dorian Thompson, Robinson. So if he does end up hitting the injury bug again, or at least they have some other guys to think about there. So good receivers in Judy, who they acquired from the Broncos, as well as Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore and David Njoku at the tight end position. So they've got plenty of weapons to do things. They've got Jim Schwartz running that defense, and they're a really, really strong defensive group, obviously. So they're going to want to run it and play defense and have Deshaun Watson win those games with a couple of select plays here and there.
And as banged up as they were last year, they still managed to get to the playoffs, rode the arm of Joe Flacco. So You got to give it up for the coaching job Szymanski did there. But tons of expectation on these Browns too, man. A lot of money being spent at the quarterback.
Yep. All right, up next, moving to Sunday Night Football. It is the Los Angeles Rams at the Detroit Lions, and this is a killer football game, Casey. Go ahead and get it started.
Yeah, rematch of an awesome playoff game that the Lions squeaked out, I think, by a point last year. So these teams definitely want to pick up where they left off. Nobody expected the Rams to be in the playoffs last year, and they rode two late draft picks in Kieran Williams and Puka Nacua right to the playoffs. Nakua resetting all kinds of rookie records. Now with the healthy Cooper Kupp, that's a scary combination there. They don't have Aaron Donald anymore, but it looked like they did hit a home run with Kobe Turner last year, the third round draft
Yeah,
pick. He was
yeah.
great. So starting to, get those higher picks again. They did so well picking late. Let's see if they did well with these early picks. Rams made the playoffs last year. I think that division, even though people are favoring the Niners, is wide open. Why can't it beat the Rams?
No doubt about it. And how about these Lions, man? Dan Campbell can motivate his guys to run through a freaking brick wall. So um, they, ever since he's been there, took him a little while to turn him around in that first season. But man, this is a team that everybody knows is got a chance to win the Super Bowl and certainly go to the Super Bowl, but certainly also win it. But Jared Goff, has turned into certainly one of the top quarterbacks
Mm-hmm.
in the league. You just got to protect him. He's not a runner, but he from the pocket can get it done. Amon-Ra St. Brown turned into one of the top receivers in the league for these guys. Jamison Williams, Khalif Raymond also on that squad there catching the football. So, um, this is an exciting group, and obviously with the tandem of Montgomery and Gibbs at running back,
Mm-hmm.
these guys have got sort of a thunder and lightning thing going on there. And again, just the mojo that Dan Campbell brings. I just think this is a team that's still nobody's tired of. Everybody's still kind
Nope.
of rooting for. If it's not your squad, it's kind of one of your squads,
Totally.
So this will be a real fun football game. Rams and Lions. Wow, very exciting.
Good. And then we got one more fiesta on Monday Night Football. It is the New York Football Jets at the San Francisco 49ers. Niners 3.5-point favorites at home. Dave, let's hope this Monday night debut for the season goes better for Rodgers than last year did, dude. That totally sucked.
Yeah, 4 plays into it was all we got out of Aaron Rodgers. The excitement is real, though. Robert Saleh conceivably got like an extra year to get things done over there because of the travesty at quarterback that was last year. Once Rodgers went down, they just didn't have anybody to get the job done. Hackett is still OC there. He's Rodgers' guy. So Brees Hall, one of the most exciting young running backs in the league, without a doubt. Garrett Wilson, one of the most exciting young receivers. They add Mike Williams. He tore his ACL in week 3 last year, but it looks like he's on target to play in week 1. So awesome. He's a great dude. And when he's healthy, he's a really nice weapon. I know Rodgers is going to love that out where he can just throw it to the back shoulder like he used to do with Devontae. He's going to love Mike Williams in that exact same situation. So this is very exciting for Jets fans. They have not had this much excitement since 1 year ago before Rodgers went down.
Oh, dude, and these San Francisco 49ers, they've been the gold standard in the NFC, but nothing to show for it. They
Nope.
made the Super Bowl a couple times, but when you take an L there, who gives a crap?
Yeah.
So they've got to do it now before they have to pay Purdy. And that payday is coming soon. Speaking of paydays, Brandon Ayuk finally got gruntled, and they
Yep.
figured out a way to pay both him and Deebo Samuel. And that's a good thing for these Niners because he is an ascending player, man. I
Yep.
love his game. Talking about the asshats in San Francisco, dude, shooting one of their own, Ricky Pearsall, getting jumped for his watch in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So just morons out there. Luckily, I mean, it could have been way worse. This guy looks like he's going to make it. It could have been brutal, but still just so stupid there. Christian McCaffrey, your number 1 draft pick. The most dynamic running back in the NFL, but they got to get Trent Williams in there and get him gruntled. It's a great offensive line with him in. It's an okay line with him out. They got to figure out a way to get that guy going. And on the other side, this defense has been one of the absolute best in the NFL. I'm not sure when Dre Greenlaw is going to come back. Had the freak accident in the postseason, was just going onto the field and popped the Achilles or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so they want to get him back. But Hargrave, they bring in Malik Collins, Nick Bosa, obviously, Leonard Floyd. They got lots of beef there. And Fred Warner, one of my I can't believe one of my favorite players is on the 49ers because I hate the stupid 49ers. But I love Fred Warner's game so much. He does everything well. Heartbeat of that squad. So,
Yeah.
But the time is now for these dumb 49ers. They've got to win a damn Super Bowl before that Purdy contract is up. So, Shanahan's got to find a way to get that done. So far, hasn't been able to, but still one of the favorites to do so.
Yep, there's the window's still wide open. Like you said, with the Purdy contract as it is, they're able to take care of those other dudes, which is going to be once they put Williams on the payroll there for real. That is going to take up a ton of their cap space over the next handful of seasons. So they got to get it done.
Oh, Dave, how stoked are you, bro?
Oh, completely and totally stoked, my friend. This is going to be very, very exciting. The NFL kickoff is coming, folks. Woo! It is going to be rad.
Just a couple days from now.
Right. So many ways you can check out the Football Dudes. Trend Zone is available for subscription on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, and if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, what the hell are you doing with your life, people? It's the Football Dudes. Go ahead and like us on Instagram and Facebook and follow us on Twitter or X at Football Dudes LA, and make sure you tag us across all social media platforms.
Or just go to footballdudes.com. It's all there for you. That is going to do it for this episode of the Trend Zone. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. For Casey, I'm Dave, and we are out of here.